You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Put the gun away, Ma.
On account of the signage.
I don't know why I even tried. No, look what you did!
She belongs in a home.
Right. Shut that sucker in the gun.
I know it. It all sounds like some bad movie.
I challenged you to
This
one
is
for the
episode
money.
Number, this
117.
is episode number 117, and you challenged me to one for the money, which is the adaptation of the Janet Evanovich novel by the same name.
Yeah. Now,
And now you and why did you challenge this to me? What
I
was the
challenged
connection?
this to you because all I kept thinking about when watching VR Wachowski was this movie. This character, because of the whole bounty hunter thing, and it's all I kept thinking. That it was also based on novels, just like the Wachowski character. That she
Right.
was female, and one is more Kathleen Turner's characters, tough as nails. But I could see this character, if done correctly, would get to that tough as nails stature down the line, like Wachowski is right out of the gate.
Well, that's one of the saving graces of the Stephanie Plum character is that they're not trying to pull a tough girl in a man's world situation. They're just trying to take a woman and put her that has no tough guy
Right.
machismo wannabe tendencies and thrusting her into the role of a bounty hunter.
Right.
So you have that. Now I'm gonna preface this since you've never read the books and I actually read the first 4 or 5 novels way back when. I'm going back maybe 10 years.
Now, and I have questions. At least a question about that because you have read them. My gut feeling, and tell me if I'm right. My gut feeling is from watching this film, the dialogue is pretty fucking bad. Things like we're ancient history, baby, like the pyramids. I can see that being written in the book. And I can see someone reading the book finding that funny and chuckling. Whereas on screen, it does nothing.
Yes. Now,
But my point is,
yeah,
the dialogue in the film is bad. And it seems to me like a lot of the dialogue is taken right from the book, which in turn means to me that the books are bad. Or at least poorly written.
Well, not poorly written. I'm not going to knock Janet Evanovich as a writer. As I said, I read 5 or 6 of the novels in the series, which means I like them to an extent.
Okay.
So let's say that. Let's give that preface. What I will say is that majority of what you see on screen is actually in the books. Some minor things have been changed. For example, when she well, I'm not even into that. Very minor stuff, not even worth mentioning, really.
Okay.
Minor plot things, minor character things. But the characters you see on screen are in the book. A lot of the dialogue, I would say most of the dialogue that you see on screen is in the book. And I think it belies 2 truths. One is that there is a huge difference between written dialogue and performed dialogue.
Okay.
And there's a difference between how something is perceived when you read it and fill the image in your own head, and how when somebody takes that image and slaps it on the screen and tells you this is what it looks like and sounds like and tastes like.
Because my wife reads these books as well, and whenever she's belly laughing, I know it's because something crazy that grandma did.
Now,
all right,
this is where I'm going to get to. Let's talk about the dinner sequence.
Okay.
Where Grandma shoots the turkey.
Yes.
Now,
I'm sure that comes across exactly the same in the book.
No, it does not come exactly in the book. It's actually funny, and there's a reason. Now, some of the. Let me just say right off the bat, the movie is worse than the book, and the main problem. What?
Of course it is.
Not always that case.
The book isn't always better, but I mean, there's so many indicators.
The main problem is that the characters are cliche in the book and in the movie. You don't have fat black prostitutes running around and everybody talking like the Jersey. Oh, my mother, I'm 5 minutes late, so of course she thinks I'm dead now. You don't have that kind of cliche New Jersey, and we'll talk about the accent later.
Oh, please.
Let's save that.
Yes.
You don't have that kind of stuff and not make it cliche. In the books, it works because as a writer, Janet Evanovich knows how to set the tone and convey humor. And let's break down the whole scene. You've got the kvetching mother, you've got the father, and you've got crazy grandma. In the book, at least for me reading it, grandma's older and less of a golden girl. If you were going to pick a golden girl, she's the old golden girl.
Oh, she's the mother from Sicily. Sicily, picture it.
Yeah, the grandmother in the movie, played by Debbie Reynolds, is not the frail, feisty character I saw in the. What?
She's basically Blanche from the Golden Girls, not the mother.
Blanche. Right, but not the mother, and that's who I expect. Somebody older and more able to get away with. When he says she should be in a home, she shouldn't look at her. She should. Would you look at her and say she belongs in a home?
She doesn't look much older than the father.
No,
maybe by 10 years.
Now maybe all the old ladies that play those cantankerous old ladies, maybe they're all finally dead, and we don't have a fresh pool yet.
He said, what? Finally, ladies and gentlemen. You said finally dead.
Well, you get my point. She's not the character I read in the book. Now
you hammered it home.
The father the father's played in the book.
Now I would imagine.
No, don't cut me off on this. I gotta get a couple of this out.
Go ahead.
I apologize. I just want to get through this. And I gotta say, Janet Evanovich has signed off on this movie, saying, "Oh, yes, this movie was just like how it should have been and everything." Don't believe it for a second.
No.
She and all the other authors in the world learned from Anne Rice's mistake when she started bitch talking about Interview with a Vampire, saying how it was horrible and everything. And Hollywood came down on her like a ton of bricks and said, "Listen, bitch, this is your fucking franchise we're selling. You better fucking sell it." And she ended up having to go and take out a full-page ad in Variety saying, "Oh, I just saw the dailies and I was wrong. Tom Cruise is the perfect selection." And Janet Evanovich is no fool. She's like, "Oh no, she's exactly the person I would have picked to play." Now when I write whatever I write, I think of her in it. You know what? She's protecting her investment. Why should she give a shit if the movie sucks anyway? The books are what sells, not her movie. So I'm not criticizing there. But the father. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to briefly mention about the Anne Rice thing. I mean, the Interview with the Vampire was a gigantic hit. Yet there were no more movies with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise after that. And I wonder if it was Hollywood's way of saying "fuck you, bitch."
I don't know. I don't know.
They did another film with the same character, a different actor playing him, but that was years later. That was oh fuck, he was the guy from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He played the proper guy.
Movie. Was that
the movie? Direct? No. It was theater.
I don't recall that.
It was with Aaliyah. She was the singer, actress.
That one.
Yeah, that she ended up passing away. It was her last film.
The Damned.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned. And that was Lestat. And that was, and that's it. As far as the Lestat character, that's it.
That was a low budget, wasn't it?
It was, but it went theatrical. Yeah, okay. Of course. But it got a lot of attention because it was her last film. I think her name was Aaliyah or Elia or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it was her last film, and she was actually decent. She was actually good in it. Things like that. But if Anne Rice didn't do what she did, like you said, there could have been a few more films. that would have had
Possibly.
the star power of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
And,
you know what? I'd want to look back further and even look at that time period and see if they were actually franchise building the way they do now, where the minute one is like even close to a hit, they're already doing 3 movies ahead. I don't know if they were in the mind frame at that point in time. I'm just saying.
It came out in 94.
But 94 is 94 doesn't
it's
seem that far back to you and I until you stop and think how old you are now.
Yeah, it's 20 years almost.
Yeah. That has to sink in. Let that sink in, Joey. That's almost a generation. So,
all right, back to the father. You were saying.
Anyway, and the father in the book is very stoic, and they even make him more of a stereotype in the movie. Where in the film, like when the whole thing happens with the turkey, like he doesn't like it. The comedy comes from his restraint, where he doesn't say anything. He he goes red, but just sits there and doesn't say a word, and he hardly says a word. When he does, he was not. It just, and you see throughout the film these characters where it's almost like the characters the director was
forgettable. It was Julie Ann Robinson.
Right, and she had done a lot of TV shit before that.
Oh yeah, they really, they really relied on her.
So, and you know what? Look, just glancing at her resume, the film feels like a made-for-TV movie because the characters and everything are so sitcom ready. So.
Yeah, everything. This is her only film. Oh, I'm sorry. She did the last song. Yeah, and One for the Money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the last song is. Oh,
it really comes through that the director is made a TV director.
Cyrus?
I have no idea. I wouldn't tell you. I'm not even gonna look. But it really comes across as a TV directing. It really has. It's that level of sophistication where we can't even. And again, the novels, it's supermarket paperbacks. We're not talking deep stuff. It's not Pulitzer winning or whatever. Right. It's not deep literature. It's and it's not meant to be. Again, I read a bunch. I liked it. It was fun. But it's just when you take out the talent involved in the writing process as far as how to how to create a character and set them, you really can feel that the only stuff that survived to the screen were the situations and the characters and the dialogue and the names, and what didn't survive was that talent for making you interested in a character and care about him, and that's really the director's fault for the most part. Probably I would blame the screenplay as well, and considering that there's 3 screenwriters, there's probably enough blame to spread around, and all 3 of them are women too. And now I don't think that having 3 women writing a screenplay is a bad thing, but I think if you're doing a movie like this and you think that only a woman can write a movie like this, we're not talking about the Joy Luck Club here. No,
agreed.
So I immediately think, okay, they purposely went out of their way to find only female screenwriters. That's my guess.
I was just going to say that because the books are geared towards women, and I don't know if they thought that was good PR.
Now, I mean, the books were geared towards women, but only in the sense that it was a female lead character. I read the books, and as so yes, popular with women because it's a female character, it's a female author who also wrote softcore porn too, or romance novels. So you have that angle to it. But again, when you're adapting, you're not translating anything. What you're trying to do is take a whole book and shrink it down to an hour and a half. And there's an artistry to that, and there's an artistry to trying to do on screen what you are able to do easier in a book, which is convey information without having the characters describe it. And one of the ways you get around that when you're not a good screenwriter is to have voiceover.
And there's a lot of that in this film. I mean, to the point of where the one scene that stands out the most, the most, is when she's talking to Fisher Stevens, where he breaks into he comes into the house, he steals her keys, and she tells him, "God is going to punish you for this." Then the scene happens, and then the voiceover is, "Well, I told him God was going to punish him." And then the next scene is she's talking to her cousin's husband, and he says, "God was going to put." It's 3 times in a row, right? Including the voiceover.
In the book, that works because it it doesn't happen on the same page. That happens, but there's all this other stuff happening, and then when they condense it, no one says, well, the joke doesn't really sell that well because we're just kind of laying it one after the other, and the voiceover is ludicrous. There's sometimes she just describes what she's doing. I mean, scenes like where she here's where it's supposed to be funny, but all it does is illustrate how useless the voiceover is in the first place. Mm-hmm. Is when she pulls up to the house, says, I'm 5 minutes late, so of course my mother thinks I'm dead. And she drives up, and then she walks up, and mother says, there you are, Stephanie, I thought you were dead. Says, it's only been 5 minutes, Ma. Okay. Now, it's funny because you repeated it, and they do it like 2 or 3 times in the movie.
Right.
But all you did is show us that what she just did voiceover for was pointless, because you can convey that with character interaction. It's called screenwriting. If
they just left the voiceover out, the scene would have went over much better.
Right. And also, some of the stuff they did keep from the book, you don't have to. That's why it's called an adaptation. If it doesn't work on the screen, take it out.
Yeah, no, you're right. And another thing with the voiceover, one of the scenes where after her star witness gets killed, Cho, I believe, and you could tell because she's acting that she's visibly bothered by it and angry, but they have to use the voiceover of her saying, now this means war. It's like, you get that in her reaction and her face. It's like, why are you voicing that over? You don't need to do it. And they do it like we were talking about a minute ago, consistently throughout from beginning to end. There is probably voiceover every 2 minutes. I would say that 2 minutes does not go by without a voiceover. It's
all wasted. It's not. I mean, and you right now, you and I could probably run down a list of films where voiceover was not only necessary but integral to the movie itself. I mean, Memento springs to mind.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, Shawshank Redemption, Memento.
Right.
Those are the two biggies for me. Like that I could, in a heartbeat. Yeah, you don't really need voiceover in Shawshank.
American Beauty, kinda.
American Beauty, yeah.
I think it would have been just as fine without it, but it doesn't hurt it.
Yeah.
Then you get stuff like...
But it's not overused. I think voiceover, it can be okay if it's not overused. Where it's not overused in Shawshank. It's used, to portray some things. In Memento, same thing. American Beauty, same thing. In this, it is just abused.
Whenever it's they use the assumption is, and you can see it in the film too, because the assumption is, okay, we have to convey a lot of information in a short time period, so we have the voiceover introduce the character and introduce all this stuff. And literally, if you just took that movie and ripped the voiceover out of it and watched it and had someone watch it without the voiceover, I guarantee you, it's not a hard plot to follow, folks. There's not a lot of twists and turns. It's pretty straightforward.
So
if you don't know if you don't know who the kid, but again, that's the point. Like, you're reading it for the characters. You're not reading it for the detective novel.
Right.
But if you showed someone this movie and you took that narration out, I guarantee you there'd be no confusion whatsoever, and nothing would play differently. There'd be nothing that like either wasn't as funny. Not that anything in this was funny. And that's why I have to point out that dinner table scene, because that when I saw it in the trailer, I knew they fucked this film up, because they've got
she belongs in a home.
Right, just the worst acting, just the worst Papa Giuseppe acting. Now
we're gonna get to that. We are gonna get to that.
I know we are, and the camera. It's like, oh, all right, the humor's gonna be from the back and forth. So the camera's dead center in the table, and every time someone talks, it cuts to the other person. So it's a quick cut back and forth, like we're going around the room. And it doesn't heighten the humor. It's actually just a bit amateurish. And then later on during the gun scene, they picked a 3/4 view. Instead of doing that again, so they can show Grandma playing with the gun the entire time.
No, you wish you could be a fly on a wall when they make these decisions. And
no, I don't think there are any decisions to make. I think it was just a matter of this is a situation where where translating the film to screen, the book to film, literally, was just too faithful.
So, yeah, I guess yeah. So wait a minute. So hold on a second. Then why do people that?
I'm sorry, but I'm saying, but except in the casting again, Grandma cast wrong.
Well, yeah.
The lead character, Katherine Hagel, is. Let's underline this right now. In the book, Stephanie Plum's character is constantly agonizing about her weight. People constantly make comments about her big hips. She's not fat, but she's like, again, she's
curvy.
Right, she's curvy. She's like, oh, I got to lose weight. Oh, I got to, and she's constantly trying to eat healthy. They get Katherine Hagel, who is obviously the opposite of that.
Yeah, she used to be a model, a teenage model, and now she's an adult who isn't a model anymore, but still looks like a model.
Right, and she's obviously extremely sexy, to the point where you'd never make a fat joke looking at her, or say like, oh, you should cut down on her. So instead, they changed the character to fit the actress's mold. So now she's eating whatever she wants. And they have to have the Morelli character make the comment, how do you look like that? You eat all this crap. What is this? Which is, again, they always pull that when they want to have the character have a personality, but they don't want to have any repercussions of the personalities. Oh, she eats all this horrible food. Well, okay, but she's still hot. Yeah, but, she just doesn't gain any weight. It's weird. So, fuck you. Every woman that's ever had the diet, like 6 months just to fit into a swimsuit for the summer, should just like throw a brick at whoever made that change in the screenplay. Hard. Throw it fucking hard.
So who did they get other than Katherine Heigl to play this character? Like, who would have been a more appropriate?
When I was reading the books, the buzz at the time amongst the Janet Evanovich fans was, and why is my mind blanking? You know who? It's
Give me a movie.
God damn it, Speed.
Oh,
Sandra
Bullock?
Sandra Bullock, thank you. For some reason, my mind got stuck on
she's
Sandra
also
Brown.
like a skinny mini.
No, but she could have pulled it off, though.
Okay.
So but you know what? With her, it was more the attitude.
Okay.
But with her, she's not like a model. I mean, she's hot.
But I would say Katherine Heigl is more curvy than Sandra Bullock.
Right, but yeah. But Sandra Bullock, I think, would be able to pull off, like, wearing, like, just, you could dress her a certain way and say, oh, my hips, and you'd believe it. And they don't even try to do that with Hagel. Everything Hagel wears is fucking hip-hugging, stomach-feeling. It didn't. Sandra Bullock's personality would have conveyed that, and they would have let her do it. I mean, she's played like the unsophisticated female character in Miss Congeniality, which I actually like. Thank you.
It's okay to like the first one.
Yes,
it's not okay to like the second one.
No. Even the Ranger casting was a bit off for me personally, because in the books, Ranger character was always, again, the talk at the time was Vin Diesel would have been the perfect Ranger, and I still agree with that, because the Ranger character always had this air of like mysteriousness around him, and what's his name? Daniel was it Sunjata?
Sunjata or Sunyata. It's probably Yada. The J's probably a Y.
Yeah. He just doesn't pull it off, the mysterious part. What do I recognize him from, by the way?
I think he was in. Was he in Lost?
No, he was not in Lost.
He was. It says here he was in The Dark Knight Rises.
I don't remember him from that.
I don't remember him from there.
I know him from something. I mean, there's something that I've watched or possibly watched a lot of that I know him from, and I for the life of me, can't find it. Like scrolling over what he's done. He
was in Sex and the City. He was in.
I watched a lot of that. I was. There were weeks I wouldn't get out of bed. I would just watch that nonstop.
Devil Wears Prada.
I don't see I know him, but I don't see a goddamn thing here. Oh, Rescue Me. I recognize him from Rescue Me.
Okay. You're right. He wasn't there.
Yeah. I knew I recognized him from somewhere because I kept watching him. But he just they try to pull him off. It's like with him, they try to pull him off too average. And this is the one guy supposed to be a mystery, and he just comes off just like, yeah, and I got a gun too, and yeah, hey, you didn't know. He's supposed to be just like this man of mystery. Everything was like TV, blatantly TV quality.
Pretty much.
Now, what do you want to say now about?
Well, we can talk about it being in New Jersey, accents, and how everyone's a fucking Johnny Goomba. I mean,
Go ahead.
Her last name's Plum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that short for like Plumelli or some other name with lots of vowels in it? Because
I don't recall.
Her mother, her grandmother, her father, specifically her father, is just fucking Johnny Goomba. Her cousins, everybody. Now, I know it takes place in New Jersey, and this misconception of everyone that lives here is either Italian or in the mafia or has this stupid accent, which, come to the state. You'll find that a lot of people don't have that stupid accent that is portrayed in film, which is portrayed heavily in this film. I was selling lingerie out of Newark. It's like, really? You were selling lingerie out of Newark? Come on.
But
please.
she loses it. It doesn't. The accent does not stick with her.
Well, because Katherine Heigl is not that kind of an actress.
Right.
That's why. But even Jason O'Mara, the guy that plays Joe Morelli, he's got a heavy Irish accent, and he's doing his New Jersey, New York actor guy. That's what he's doing. That's why his character acts and sounds the way it does, because that he has a completely different accent and a completely different way of talking. So whenever you hear these guys from different areas with completely different accents, they go to acting class, they go to speech class, they try and convey what they think is appropriate. And he's doing his, Brooklyn, New York, New Jersey guy. And that's why he acts and he sounds the way he does in the film. Now, I actually like him. I like him. He did a show that lasted 3/4 of a season before it was canceled, called Life on Mars.
I remember that. Yeah. That was based on a British TV show.
Right, of the same name. And it was after Lost.
Time travel.
Exactly. Well, see, that's the thing. They were building up to certain aspects of the TV show, and they were losing people because they were trying to build this story and these characters. And much like everyone that lives in this country, they have the fucking attention span of a goddamn gnat, so it got canceled. So a show like that, where he gets in a car accident and ends up in 1973, that's fucking interesting, if you ask me. And it's not even just, he's living in 1973 doing stuff that you do there. Other weird little fucking things happen during the show, like that he only sees, that is building up to this story arc that's eventually going to get to, where they need it to be, and it gets canceled. And it's a shame. But he was in that show, and I was, I think it was the last season of Lost. I think it was 2008, or 2009, I think. And I watched Lost, and then I watched that, and I liked it, and then next thing you know, it's canceled, which really sucked. But I like him. I think he has potential. And even his character in this film, even though he's doing Johnny Goomba, I still think his character in this film was likable.
Now, if you want to have fun, you can go to IMDb and go to the message board for the movie and spend a good hour and a half. Ooh, pardon me. Spend a good hour and a half weeding through all of the people posting about how much Hagel's accent sucks in this film. And most of them are New Jerseyites or New Jerseyans or, annoying people that just like, I'm from this part of, I'm from this town, and I'm from here, and I'm from Trenton, and this is that, and this is how they talk here. That there are great conversation threads of them contrasting dialects between different parts of New Jersey. And how she keeps switching from like a Hoboken to a Trenton to this, and she never stays on one, and And there were a couple that talked about her long A's and her O's. I no, she doesn't hold the O right, and the A's are too long, and she keeps going back and forth between the O's. It's great fun. It's great fun. So, some people take their speech impediments very seriously.
Yeah,
they really do.
The thing that to be honest, the thing that bugs me is the fact that it takes place in New Jersey, so everyone has to have that quote-unquote Jerseyan Italian accent. Right. And that, I think that bothers me more than anything. I don't know if that's conveyed in the book.
Well, it's hard to hear the accents in the book. Or if they just took it upon themselves. The not the accent itself, but the vernacular, so to speak, is what she does in the books, is how people talk, which I think you can nail that pretty well. I don't think there's that much of an argument as far as how the characters talk in the film, except maybe with lines like the pyramids. But then again, that's like a character idiosyncrasy too. You could see a character saying a line like that. So, okay, this guy's not a brain surgeon. He's not Oscar Wilde. He's not coming up with witty retorts. It's hey, look at these cheese balls. There's no keys in there. It's all right. Yeah, the guy's not a fucking Bon whatever. Apparently, I'm not either. But so the vernacular's there, and that's what she does in the books. But then you take people like, oh, it's Jersey, right? Yes, we have to make this authentic Jersey. Oh, here we go. Let's make it authentic Jersey.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I didn't grow up as a child in New Jersey, but I've been in New Jersey since I would say my 5th grade, I believe, 5th grade. So I spent
10 years old.
Around 10, yeah, I would say around 10 years old. I moved to Jersey. Before then, actually, maybe a little bit before that.
If you moved somewhere like, say, a southern state, you would have picked up an accent that young.
Most likely. No, I was a bit younger actually before I moved to Jersey. But the thing is, I've never lived in a part of New Jersey where everyone used the same accent, because people tend to move around. I guess
sure.
I would. Yeah. So I get now. I guess there's more inbred parts of New Jersey. Sure, but I think it's kind of hard to find like a part of Jersey where if you like spend a half hour or an hour and a half, as the film is, go through it, every single person you talk to talks like Vinny Boombots. I don't think that's entirely possible.
I mean, believe me, I know people that do talk that way.
Oh yeah,
it's inevitable. But I would say that is a very, very small portion of the people that I know.
But you can almost see them
and act that way.
You can almost see them going through like the casting calls. Okay, who looks Jersey? Who looks Jersey? Give me Jersey. There's Jersey. There's Jersey. So at a certain point, it becomes caricature over anything else. But if the direction had been good enough to pull off more of the humor, I wouldn't mind. Now, personally, if I want to hear these annoying accents nonstop, I'll just watch Married to the Mob.
Yeah.
The difference is Married to the Mob pulls off the humor because it was well directed.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not saying it's a great film, but there was some talent involved, and I don't want to be mean. But from what I've seen here, no talent involved with this director. Passable as a television director, which is really, especially in some of the shows I'm looking at on her resume here, you're just cranking this shit out. You're not really conveying anything. Now, all right, maybe like you get to like Weeds and stuff like that. The cable TV shows, great, whatever. Grey's Anatomy, fuck you. fuck anybody involved with that goddamn show.
Oh, I'm just so fucking annoyed with it. I'm looking at a lot of these actors and actresses' birthplaces. I'm seeing a lot of Chicago, and I'm seeing a lot of Illinois. I haven't seen one person from New Jersey yet.
Well, how hard would that have been?
It wouldn't have been.
There are a lot of famous actors from New Jersey. A lot of them sound like that too.
Yeah,
well, I know for a fact Joe Pesci ain't doing a goddamn thing right now. I know for a fact he's got an open slate.
I would say you're correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's a state lousy with New Jersey-like actors, and they just didn't drag any in. So they were more concerned about names than portraying the book. I understand that, but they just didn't do a good job. I didn't. No, I didn't laugh at any of the scenes I thought I would have laughed at. Oh, and by the way, speaking of bad narration as being a bad device, how about the other device of her talking to her sister on the phone for the first half of the film?
Oh God. Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit! Now, one thing I have heard all over New Jersey is people having pointless conversations on their cell phones about stupid shit that has no bearing whatsoever on life or anything that they're doing. That
Usually
I believe
while they're driving.
Yeah, driving though, not shopping at farmers market vegetable stands with their children. No, it's just in the car. Yeah. So none of that. But again, another information dump. Just trying. Okay, we have to convey that she likes him. How do we do that? Well, she's talking to her sister on the phone, and I don't remember if that's actually in the book or not. I don't. But if it was, you don't need it. Get the fuck rid of it, and spend that time you're using having these characters talk about how she feels, and just show us how she feels. It's called writing. The film overall really has a rush feel to it. It almost feels like they got the rights to the book. And it was just, okay, we're going to make the book, and they made the book, and that was it. There was really just no concern, I don't think.
And it's a January release as well.
I'm sure it tested wonderfully.
Yeah, but it's we know that January means bad, and a lot of people still to this day don't. They just think it's another film released in January. They don't realize, why am I watching so much shit in the month of January after Christmas?
Let's be fair. Sometimes they don't even know it's shit.
That's sometimes it's successful in January, and then they make more sequels,
right?
Like Kevin James movies. So,
or Wanted.
Or Wanted wasn't a January film.
Not Wanted. You know what I mean.
Butterfly Effect.
No, that's another good example. No, Liam Neeson. Taken. One of those other one-word names.
Yes, and we talked about Taken, so we won't do it again.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of like they didn't know what to do with that. That was released in Europe a year earlier. And I think that's the situation with this too. They didn't know what to do with it. It probably didn't test well because, again, you're coming from not having read the books, so it's not like, oh, gee, Scott, you knew the jokes already, so you didn't laugh when they happened. No, it just wasn't done well. Yeah. I'll give you a perfect example too. When the car explodes. Mm-hmm. And she says they blow up our car, and he says our car, and she says your car. Okay, your car. You want it back? There's like 10 different ways I can. No, there's not. I'm sorry. There's one way you could play that off to comic effect, and her like laughing when she said it, and being giggly and seeing the humor in it. Not how you convey the humor in that scene. Yeah, You play it straight-faced, and then that's where you get your funny reaction.
Right. No, she had to go along with it, and I could almost see the director was like, "Oh, that was such a natural reaction. We're going to keep that. That's fine. It's natural. It still doesn't fucking work." And the grandmother just being too it's not funny if she looks like she could beat me up. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that Debbie Reynolds couldn't have taken me out. It really is, and it's not funny when someone like that, where when you look at her and you think, oh, there's a strong older woman. No, she has to look old and frail, and then she comes out with the gun and like blows the hole in the turkey and is like talking tough talk. That's when it's funny. Like you said, it's not funny when Blanche grabs the gun. It's funny when. We should really look up what that character's name is. Ma. It's Ma, right?
It's Ma. They called her Ma, but her name was... I'll just look it up.
Yeah, but again, she was funny because she was the tough one. Blanche looks... she's younger, older. Debbie Reynolds is definitely younger, older in this film. At least she does not look old. And
she's 80 years old. So she's actually 79 when she made this movie.
Debbie Reynolds?
Yeah.
You don't look it.
No. Well, that's the problem. They should have got someone that actually looked older.
Right, you know what? There's old and there's old. Well, perfect example.
Sophia.
Right. And I'm kind of happy I didn't know that. I feel a little bit better about myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know all three names characters on. I know Maud because that's Maud. It's odd, right?
Well, that's not her name in the show, though.
It's not?
No.
It's Blanche. I don't even remember her name. I just remember Blanche. Okay.
See, I don't know it offhand either, so now I have to look it up.
Well, you know the difference between, like... All right, here's the difference between...
Dorothy, Betty White was Rose, then you have Blanche and
Rose.
Sophia.
That's right. Rose and Blanche. Okay.
Yeah,
Here.
but Dorothy was Maud.
Right. Here's a perfect example of old and then funny old.
Yeah.
Grumpy old men.
Oh, sure. Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau? Yep.
Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, old. Burgess Meredith, funny old.
Yeah. I eat bacon every goddamn day.
Right, exactly.
The whole bacon scene is hilarious.
Yeah, Debbie Reynolds is like Walter Matthau or Jack Lemmon. What they needed was Burgess Meredith.
Yeah.
And they didn't have it. They had, again, so they're functional. They're not so old that like you could actually say he belongs in a home. And sure enough, he does. Debbie Reynolds doesn't belong in a fucking home. That line alone just doesn't sell the whole film, and that's why the entire film doesn't work, because there's just no sense of reality. Oddly enough, for a book that was always praised for it being realistic as far as being set in New Jersey, this film does just what the book never did, which was not successfully sell the characters as being real. I never considered any of these characters real characters. The humor doesn't come across them. Unless, that the only way that doesn't work is if you're watching like Three Stooges shit. Or, that kind of, Ernest. That kind of, even Ernest was more realistic of a human character than fucking Stephanie Plum was this.
There's the scene where she's in the shower. She's handcuffed to the shower.
Uh-huh.
And she calls Ranger to get her out.
Right.
It just, that scene should be funny in some, it's just not. Although I did enjoy her attempting to grab her large bosoms, trying to hide them. It's like, listen, you've had relations with this guy. I don't understand what's all the cover up.
Now again, that Ranger scene would have been funnier if Ranger was as mysterious and foreboding a character as he was portrayed in the books. He's not. He comes off more like an average guy. Ironically, he becomes more of an average, realistic character that you believe in, thus making him less of a humorous character in conjunction with her. It just everything that made these characters work well in the book is taken away from them, and it all just falls apart. And the only thing that could have saved, the only thing that could have saved this film is chemistry of the characters and just not with each other, but with the audience. And that's the one thing they stripped from them by just slapping them in like sitcom characters. This is the kind of character study I expect from How I Met Your Mother. Not from a real film that they spent millions of dollars making. And
not only voiceover is bad either, but and you don't really remember. You know it's bad when you watch it. You don't remember it because there's so little. But something just happened now when Ranger goes to get her. Because she's handcuffed to the shower, and he tells her, he goes, you go, get a deadbolt. The very next shot is her putting in a deadbolt, and then the next shot is her in the police station. Like, did we really need to see that one shot of her putting in a deadbolt? Can't we just assume that she did it?
And again, in the book, she actually gets the deadbolt because there's more of a passage of time, there's more space to fill, there's more stuff going on. Get rid of it in the movie. He can say get a deadbolt. You're right, 100%. It's that kind of stuff too. They're keeping things in the book that it works well in the book because hey, she actually gets a deadbolt. She's learning. She's doing this and that. But in the film, like you say, it's just a useless thing to throw in there. Why do I need to know that she got a deadbolt now?
It's ridiculous. Or how about the four alarm fire in the house? Which apparently they're able to walk into immediately. I mean, a 4-alarm fire, that's pretty much engulfed in flames. You're not just walking in there and it's a little smoky. But that's nitpicking. But the fact that the woman and the kid is in there in the couple of scenes before, and instead of her just them acting the scene, just saying that they're safe, they have to do a voiceover saying, yeah, they got them out of the house. And they're safe. Yeah. Just the way it was, and they're safe. It's like, thank God.
She pretty much says that the cops told her this, so she knows it now. And you're like, well, the cops are standing right next to her as the voiceover's going. Couldn't the cop have just said, "Don't worry, we got them out. They're safe"?
Right.
Or, you could allude. And you got to love how it was a 4-alarm fire that would have killed anybody and it flashed by the whole place. But there's still curtains hanging.
Yeah.
Oh, there's holes in them. There's holes in them, but they're hanging because curtains just smolder in random spots when they're caught in 4-alarm fires.
They're not made of plastic. They're not made of plastic at all. It's just not going to melt or warp in any way. Little holes here and there. Nothing major.
And again, the voiceover shit, pure Grey's Anatomy. That kind of bullshit.
Oh, yeah. I fucking
can't
stand that show. I can't. I can't.
When you don't have enough time for exposition, I'm going to talk over and tell you how the show ends up and how all the characters were affected, because we just don't have the time to actually show you that. You have the time in an 1.5 hour long film. Sorry, you do.
And Grey's Anatomy is, I don't know if it's number 1 every week, but it is in the top 5, which just annoys the shit out of me.
Why I do not watch television anymore, sir? It's just unbearable.
Me neither. I watch 2-3 things. Half of them are hockey. It's like, seriously. The other one's the Science Channel, and here and there, once in a while, something. That's the only way I can put it. Television, not on my fucking radar. When it's on,
here's a good example. Let's speak of television shows. Let's just go out on a limb, since I'm making fun of Grey's Anatomy for having voiceover. Okay. Here's a show that has voiceover that it makes perfect sense in. Dexter.
Yep.
Dexter, it works. Why? Because it's all the inner monologue of this character, and we're going through this movement, this change, internal change with him constantly. It makes sense to have him narrating everything that's going on. It works for the show. It wouldn't be as effective of a show if it wasn't for that.
Right, exactly. And you're right, because he's such a dark character, because he can't really convey any of those feelings to anybody. There's only a few characters that have come and gone throughout the seasons where he could have a conversation about who he really is, but still, he always holds something back, and they do such a good job on the show that they pretty much save that for you, the viewer, which is when they use the voiceover.
And again, for a character who is hiding from everybody else, the audience is the only one privy to this information. Now, there's not every show that has that, or every movie or every show that has that kind of main character that hides from people needs the narration, but it works for the show. It really does.
It does work.
And we,
very good point.
Bringing up, well, thank you. But it's really. It really just underlines how amateurish the screenplay was, and how they were really it was just a matter of how quickly they could get it to screen and then forget about it. It was a paycheck. It's what it was. It feels like a paycheck.
And I'm pretty sure Katherine Heigl was an executive producer on this, because she was really hoping that this was going to be a franchise that she could be in for a bunch of movies.
Executive producers, I want more money. So what do? Well, just call me an executive producer. They don't do it. They don't do dick. Anybody wants to prove me wrong, give us a call and tell me. Tell me exactly.
No, I'm not.
Tell me exactly. Call the show and tell me exactly what an executive producer does. Executive producer does dick. Executive producer does less than the producer does. I rest my case.
Well, I still stand by that she wanted this to be a franchise for her, which this is something that they won't remake this film. Book one is book one. This film is done. They may continue making more films with different people, and kind of take this and see what they did wrong.
You know what? But this is a situation. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. But this is a situation where they wanted this to become a franchise, but they wanted this to become a franchise based solely on the reputation of the novel. There's nothing in this film that tells me that anybody put any real effort into making this more than a copy. There she is talking to her fucking sister again on the phone. Thank you. Thank you for that 30 seconds of whatever you just told there. And thank you for the voiceover telling us that you were taking snacks over to her, because you carrying shit to her on the corner never would have clued me into that. Fuck you. This movie's pissing me off now. Yeah, but I mean, it really...
I did my job.
V.R. Warshawski, same thing. They were hoping it would be a new franchise, but based solely on the idea of, okay, there's already a strong fan base behind this, so they'll love the film, and then on top of everything else, we'll catapult it. Problem is, a lot of the fan base didn't like the movie. and that's because fans are finicky, picky, annoying shits, and they
And I
always
would
shit on
imagine-
stuff that comes out of their stuff.
Yeah, I would imagine that a lot of the test screened audiences were fans of the book, and that's why it ended up in a January release. I mean, not. I would imagine as well that a lot of people just know it's a shitty film, but I would think a lot of people were trying to get to see this in an advanced screening, and then it is what it is. Now,
What is this? Is this G rated? What is this? PG?
PG-13.
Yeah, it's please. Now, honestly, I think the books were actually kind of PG-13, so there's not much change there either. They didn't dull anything out for that. But if you go on PG-13 with this kind of adult, as far as like hookers and murder and stuff, you better have more to it than this. And I can't repeat it anymore. I got to say it one more time. The humor that was in the book doesn't make it to the screen. Shitty directing.
Right.
Careless directing. And careless screenwriting because there was no craft and consideration towards translating it to the screen in a screen-worthy format. It was just, okay, let's just shorten this as much as possible and make it an hour-and-a-half film. Not let's make it a good film, let's just get it up there. And who knows? Maybe Janet Evanovich is to blame. Maybe she was a stickler for keeping the book movie as close to the book as possible in her negotiation for it. I mean, in which case she fucked it.
Can you blame her though? I mean, what author wouldn't want their work to be closely portrayed to the screen? I would think most.
Chuck Palahniuk, Fight Club, and this is the perfect example I always hold up. I've seen interviews with him, and if you listen to the Fight Club audio commentary with him and the screenwriter, you hear the same thing. His philosophy, and I think this should be the philosophy of any writer who ever has their book optioned by Hollywood, unless they write the screenplay themselves, is this was my thing. Now they're creating a new version of it. It's their thing. They're going to have to change it. It's a different art form. It's not my art form. It's out of my hands once it hits it. You listen to the Fight Club audio commentary. Chuck Palahniuk and the author, the screenwriter, he keeps telling him, "Oh, you changed this for my book, so you did this. I like that." And this was good too. He appreciates the craft of writing and what you have to do to turn it into their form. There was an interview with him for Choke too about how they had the interview asks him about changing it from the changes in his book when they wrote the screenplay. And he says, "Well, that's what they had to do. It's not mine anymore. It's theirs. They're doing something with it. Why would I take it personally? My book still sells." And that's the attitude you have to take. You want to be like Alan Moore.
I was just gonna say Alan Moore. I was trying to get a word in edgewise, and I'm like, I'm gonna say Alan Moore. I'm gonna bring him up. What an asshat Alan Moore is. I'm so glad that he took his name off of Watchmen. I really am, because it's such a great film. Zack Snyder did such a great job with that.
It's better than the source material.
He did just... And the extended cut of the film, even with the Black Freighter included, is still amazing. Even though Zack Snyder wanted an extra $30 million to do the Black Freighter live action, he couldn't get it. They weren't giving him $200 million to make Watchmen. 160 or 165, 70, whatever they gave him, was a lot already.
I'm glad they didn't though. I'm glad they kept it as the cartoon thing because I think it works. Interesting.
I think it works, but I think live action would have been really neat too.
Right. I mean, so you have a choice. You can be anal about having making sure that everything is exactly the way it was in your book when it goes to screen, which is impossible. Mm-hmm. Or you can just let go and say, you know what? All right, you have it. It's yours. Do something with it. Or you can be like Alan Moore, who apparently is now trying to make his own movie, and I guarantee it's going to suck balls.
Do we know anything about it yet?
Yeah, I know Alan Moore's doing it. So fuck him.
Is he gonna recruit Frank Miller? He's gonna get tips from Frank Miller. How should I direct this scene? Why don't we just do it together? Oh my god. What the fuck? Frank
Miller
just do everything but direct, please.
Frank Miller just makes him watch The Spirit over and over again.
Oh.
I'll beat you like eggs.
Oh,
we never did The Spirit on the show, do we?
No, we haven't.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point about the movie. There's really nothing more for me to say. That, I mean, specifics. There's really no other scenes. I mean, it wasn't a bad book. It's not a bad movie as far as the content of it. What kills the movie is the screenwriting and directing, because it doesn't. It's a soulless, empty shell. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we can go ahead and rate it if we're done.
Yeah, we can do that. It's currently, let me go back to the main screen here. On IMDb, it is currently 5.1 stars, a perfect half.
Yeah, saying that it's average. It's not average.
No, you know what? This is average. I disagree. I think this is average.
I think it's below average.
No, I disagree.
I'd give this a 4.
I disagree.
Just on accents alone.
Let me make my argument. This is an average film.
Why am I getting goddamn pop-ups? I just fucking redid this PC last night. And if I click on something, I get a motherfucking pop-up. Oh, I'm not happy.
You know I can't answer that question for you.
Go ahead.
I have no idea why you're getting pop-ups.
It's a fresh install. What the fuck?
Let me make the case for why this deserves 5 stars.
All right.
Okay? As I stated at least twice in the past half hour, this film, it's a faithful representation on the screen of the book. It's competently made. Mm-hmm. Where it falls apart is that there's no craft or skill inserted to it. All the casting decisions are made based on regular stereotype. They don't go into any kind of depth. And the main character, her accent sucks, but that's just because they went with the name instead of somebody actually from Jersey, or somebody can pull it off a Jersey accent. This, to me, is a perfect example of what your average film is. Get it on the screen, get it out there. There's enough money behind it. There's enough craft or basic competency behind it to make sure that the script doesn't suck, but there's not enough to actually make it work by not falling back on your basic tools, simplistic tools like voiceover, pointless conversation on the phone with an ancillary a different side character. I can't pronounce it right now. Shut up.
That's all, folks. Hibbity.
That's not nice. A side character that has no bearing on
several times this week. I've been told I haven't been nice several times this week. Sorry. You have
to have my answer. I wasn't trying to be nice.
I wasn't.
It's
not my job.
I'm not defending it, saying it's better than a 4. I'm saying it deserves a 5 because a 5 is pretty much just any shit you throw on the screen. Yeah, this is the perfect example of it.
I don't know. Maybe I'm holding a grudge for the accents. I don't. You know.
You probably are. Yeah. No, I think it deserves a 5, just because it's unremarkable.
I'll give it a 5 for almost seeing Katherine Heigl boobage. I'll go as high as a 5 for that.
Sure.
All
right, I'm gonna give it 5.
5 is fine.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for episode 117 of Moviesucktastic. Please visit us at our website at Moviesucktastic.com. Download all of our episodes there, or listen to them for free. Or you can go and watch us live from there, or you can go to livestream.com/Moviesucktastic. You can do it there as well. You can go to iTunes, and you can download our shows there, leave us reviews. And Facebook.com/Moviesucktastic. You can call our hotline at 908-514-4470. You can email us at themovieguys@Moviesucktastic.com. And please visit our Tumblr page at Moviesucktastic.tumblr.com.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And share, motherfuckers. Share.
Absolutely. That's about it for me. Good night.
Words of wisdom?
Where's the wisdom? Give us some.
God help you if you use voiceover.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.